One thing about a performance is you can imply, and that's part of the beauty of it. You leave holes in it because the audience fills those.
I think the whole book has some progression in your being introduced to John Cage as a person and as a creator.
And as a point of view.
As a point of view, and you're changing over time in your attitude.
In his book, Silence, that there are three aspects of creation. And he said, composition was the most important. And he said it was the best work is made because it's necessary. And it's necessary because the artist himself, not the world, needs to discover something. That's the first one. Then he said that the execution is the next important thing. And he had his fights with people who didn't believe in what he was doing, but they were forced to play it. And he was trying to get people to approach it in the same way it was written. Then the third one, which is very controversial, is that the experience of the audience or the auditors is less important than the first two. What the audience gets out of it is less important than the first two things. Artists are not responsible to anybody. And in fact, he has every right to, out of all the possible ways of being, he says that he thinks that if things are going to be new, they've got to be new for the artist first. When you ask an artist, well, what does it mean? They'll say, what does it mean to you? There is a participation, there's a door that's opened by that which is not so easy to understand or is not so available. And I say when you sit in front of any event, and particularly an artistic product like a painting or a novel or a dance performance, and you have no idea what's going on, what resources do you use? The human condition is baffling and frightening. Artists take a stab at subjective meaning. And if it's infectious enough, artists can move people to think differently. Art does for me what religion traditionally did. It organizes a seemingly chaotic universe. Artists, when they're, particularly if you are a genius, you know, I don't think the rules apply. I say this, and I say it, you know, I will suffer from this because I don't think I'm a genius. I feel that artists sometimes are there to break things. And there's nobody said, there's a rule book said something, you have to have empathy. No, that's your choice. There are people who say, I don't have to have empathy. I just need to be effective at what I do. In the summer of 1993, Arthur Bjorn and I were visiting Walter de Maria's lightning fields in southern New Mexico. We had reserved all 6 places in the guest house so we would have privacy. In the morning, Arthur had gone walking among the lightning rods. I was daydreaming when Bjorn called me to his room to help him with a panicked, vivid green hummingbird fluttering against the mosquito screen. A short while later, he had gently captured it and was cupping it in his hand when he offered it to me to do the same before we released it out the front door. I have seldom held a thing so fragile, so dependent on my care. I would like to think, as it grew quiet and still, it trusted me. Though even now, I can recall the rapid beating of its heart on my palm.